And we came up with this collaboration, and I could not be more excited for you to hear from some of these amazing leaders. I'm going to just go through a couple of things first. This is for you if, and this is not for you if. So this is for you if you want to take the guesswork out of leadership. If you understand that there is a cost associated with poor leadership, if you're willing to take a hard look at areas where you can improve, if you're willing to be vulnerable and kind of look at the way you're doing things and, kind of assess it and look at it and go, I can make a lot of improvements here. And I'm open to feedback and I'm open to learning things from these leaders. If you want to drastically improve your current and implement new leadership skills, if you want to look at the way the best leaders in this company do things and learn from them, you are in the right place. If you want to grow and nurture people around you, if you want to help build up leaders in your organization, this is the right place for you. And if you are prepared to impact people on a level that you've never imagined, I just want you to think about that for a second. If you want to impact people on a level that you've never even let yourself imagine, this is for you. This is for you. You're in the right place. Goodness, let me move this bar out of the way. Can you guys see these people?
Hi.
Okay. All right. This is not for you if you think leadership just happens naturally as you build an organization. I cannot tell you how much that is not the case. So if you believe that, this is probably not for you. If you have a need to hold on to excuses and limiting beliefs and habits, if those are something that, if that's like your, like my son has these little squishmallows and they're a big comfort to him. If you're going to hold on to your excuses and limiting beliefs and bad habit, like my son holds on to his squishmallows, this is not going to be a fun environment, a fun learning environment for you. If you're comfortable with your current level of influence, this is not for you, because we are about to take your influence to the next level. If you aren't ready to impact people in massive ways, exit stage right. Okay? If you aren't willing to do the work, this is not a place for you. And lastly, this is so important. If you are confusing recognition with leadership, if you're confusing recognition with leadership, this is not a place for you. Okay, so I wanted to kind of go over that because these are some foundational things, particularly about what I'm going to go over today with you, which is leadership mindset. And so I wanted to make sure that you understand what you're getting into here and what this is all about, because it's important that we come into this with the right mindset, which is why I'm on deck today to talk to you about 10 non-negotiables of leadership mindset. Are you guys ready to get into this? Put a 1 in the chat if you are on fire to learn about the non-negotiables of leadership mindset. I should see so many 1s right now. My chat's not open. Let me open it. Hold on. Oh my goodness, you guys are blowing me away. Let me move this over. No, I can't get the chat closed. This is awesome. Oh my gosh, you guys are pumping me up so much. Okay, 10 non-negotiables of leadership mindset. Growth. You're going to have a chance to write all these down. I'm going to go through them really quickly. Growth, consistency, confidence, and humility. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but it is not. Leaders need to be confident and humble. Decisiveness, heart for service, grit, emotional intelligence. We're going to talk a lot about that one. Ownership and accountability, abundance, huge, and learning. We're going to talk about these, okay? Let's talk first about growth mindset, all right? A leader with a growth mindset knows that your job is to help your team see qualities that they don't see in themselves and help them build those. I'm going to say that again. A leader with a growth mindset knows that your job is to help your team see qualities that they don't see in themselves and help them build those. All right. I'm going to read this because I think this is such a key point. And I know that you can read what's on these slides, but I need to just like needle in on this point. Leaders have a growth mindset, and people who consistently develop and maintain a growth mindset share the following characteristics. Why do you think I have bolded consistently develop and maintain on this? Growth mindset is not a destination. You don't read a book or go through a personal development transformation and suddenly you've arrived at a growth mindset. Wouldn't that be nice if you could just be like, oh, I read the book. I now have a growth mindset. Thank you. Gosh, that was a wonderful recommendation. I've transformed my mindset and now I am fully on the side of growth. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. It has to be consistently developed and maintained. So people who consistently develop and maintain a growth mindset share the following characteristics. They embrace challenges. I cannot say enough things about people who embrace challenges. Challenges are opportunities all the time. It's about how we perceive them. It's about how we perceive them. I'm currently reading The Obstacle is the Way, and it has completely transformed the way I already saw setbacks as potential to provide a solution. But that book has really opened my eyes to how it's truly about our perception. They embrace challenges. They persist in the face of setbacks. Are you willing to persist, or do you just say, oh, here's a setback, I'm done. I'm done. They see effort as a path to mastery. Effort as a path to mastery. Some people see time as a path to mastery. Well, I've been in this industry for 10 years and I'm still making $1,000 a month. Okay, 10 years sounds great. What has your consistent effort looked like over those 10 years? Mastery comes from effort. They learn from criticism. Are you coachable? Are you willing to hear the hard things about where you can course correct? If you're not, you're probably not in a growth mindset. They find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. Do you find lessons and inspiration in the success of others? Or when you see that others are successful, does it shut you down? Do you try to explain away their success so that you can feel better about what's happening in your world, in your career, in your business? I know, I've been there. I've been in a fixed mindset before. I've had a crappy attitude before. Carol Dweck says, having a growth mindset means that sometimes taking appropriate risks leads to failure. The difference, though, is in how a person with a growth mindset defines and rebounds from that failure. I'm sharing this with you because I find it so fascinating that the entire definition of the world's foremost expert on growth mindset is Carol Dweck, okay? And I found it so fascinating that her definition of growth mindset is based around failure and how someone responds to it. Isn't that funny? Like, I thought it was so funny. I'm like, this lady knows everything about everything to do with growth mindset. And the way that she defines it is about how someone responds to, defines, and rebounds from failure. How do you define failure? How do you rebound from failure? You are going to fail. How do you feel about it? That's what matters. How do you get up and keep going afterwards? That's what defines your mindset. Okay, let's talk about the difference in growth and fixed mindset. Let's talk about it. All right, growth mindset. You take action and you expect action from others. In a fixed mindset, you make and accept excuses. I want you to think about, as we're going through these, which one of these is your MO, right? These are, I mean, this is hard stuff. If you've never had this conversation with yourself, if you've never thought about these things, you might be going, oh my gosh, she's calling me out. Get comfortable there, thinking about how you behave, how you react, how you respond, what your common MO is around these things, okay? Growth mindset means you empower others. In a fixed mindset, you might be enabling others not to show up as their best self. Growth mindset, you trust that your team will rise to the occasion. In a fixed mindset, you feel the need to make things easier for them. How many of you, I want to hear in the chat, type me if you have ever felt like you were asking too much of your team and you felt like you just needed to make it simple. Gosh, if I could type on here without messing everything up and ruining my whole thing, I would type me, because I have felt before like, oh gosh, I better, if I make it really simple, they will do it. And I had a mentor when I first got here pull me aside and say, lowering the bar for your team isn't helping them. They will rise to the occasion. And how much that changed my perception on this business, I cannot even explain to you. And I think sometimes we forget that people want to be great. And all they need from us is to believe in them more than they need us to dumb it down. Growth mindset means that you believe that people can develop their skills. What you know today is not the most you're ever going to know. Like, this is not it. You can learn anything. But in a fixed mindset, we believe that people's skills are set. That sucks. I don't believe that. Do you believe that? I don't buy it. Growth mindset, you are willing to disrupt yourself. Nobody on your team is going to be willing to get uncomfortable unless they see you getting uncomfortable. Are you willing to disrupt yourself? Because in a fixed mindset, you aren't willing to get uncomfortable. Let's move on to consistency. Write this down. Consistency is your currency. Consistency is your currency. As a leader, that's the thing. All right? These are the areas of consistency for leaders. Belief. You're consistent in your belief in yourself, in the team, the company, the products. You're consistently coachable and open to feedback. Coachability goes both ways. If you aren't open to feedback from your team, do not expect them to be open to feedback from you. Are you consistent in your character? Does your team know what to expect from you? Do they know who you are in your heart? Development. Do you consistently develop yourself personally and professionally? Are you trying to grow consistently? Activity. Are you consistently performing your highest daily activities, your highest impact activities? Again, don't expect your team to if you aren't. Are you consistent with your communication? Both how often you communicate and your communication style. For example, if Stephanie calls me, is she afraid of me? Like, is she like, I don't know if I'm going to get like sweet, nice Sarah, like she's having a great day and everything's good? Or is she going to get like, what? I don't know. I'm just having a day. Consistency. I heard Wes Bewley pay this compliment to Ashton, one of his top leaders, and I thought it was incredible. He told me, I always know what I'm going to get from Ashton. 100% of the time, I always know what I'm going to get from Ashton. And I thought, what a concept. For somebody to always know what they're going to get from somebody else is such a rare gift. Leaders need to be consistent for their team. People deserve to know what they're going to get from you. Okay, leaders are both confident and humble. Both confident and humble. So being a great leader, delicate balance between confidence, humility. Okay? You impress people with success, but you impact them with failure. You impress people with success, but you impact them with failure. So confidence, on the confident side, you don't get confident from knowing it all or doing it all. Confidence comes from competence, and competence can only come from doing the thing. So I didn't just show up here on this Zoom and start speaking. This isn't the first time I've ever done this. And if it was, it wouldn't sound like this. It would be a freaking disaster, right? I'm competent because I've done this. I don't even know how many times, countless times. And I have confidence in my ability to do this because I have developed competence around it. That's the only way. Do the thing, get competent, build your confidence, do it again, get confident, do it again, get better, get more confident. That is it. You cannot hear enough trainings to make you confident. I want you to write that down. You will never hear enough trainings from someone else to make you confident in what you're doing. Doing makes you confident. Okay? On the opposite side, humility. How will your team ever learn to say, I don't know, if you haven't modeled that for them? I don't know, but I'll find out is one of the most powerful answers you could ever give anyone on anything. Good leaders know what they don't know. Being humble means I know my weaknesses and I can figure out how to fill those gaps. Your team needs to see you not knowing things sometimes. They need to see you make mistakes and how you learn from those. You need to model that. You've got to be a little bit vulnerable sometimes. This is important stuff, guys. Like, you may think you see a leader that knows how to do everything and they're so confident. That's not inspiring. Again, you may impress people with success, but you impact people with failure and how you handle that. I promise you, if you want to impact people, show them how you deal with a situation you don't know anything about. Show them how to deal with not having an answer. That is where you will build trust and confidence from your organization in you as a leader. All right, this is the leadership confidence cycle. Like I said, do the thing, get competent, get confident, rinse and repeat. This is it, over and over and over again. How do you get good at speaking value about our products to customers? You do it. Do it, get competent, get confident, do it again. Over and over and over. How do you get good at inviting people to hear about our business? You do it. You get competent, you get confident, rinse and repeat. Do it until it rolls off the tongue. I learned how to play the piano as a young kid. I didn't sit down and just start pounding out classical music. That would have been great, but that's not how it went. I had to practice. I had to do the thing, get competent, get confident, shoulders back, chin up, sitting down at the piano, having recitals, rinse and repeat, getting better and better. Confidence and leadership are muscles. They will atrophy if you don't use them. That's just how it works. Everybody good so far? Give me a thumbs up if I still have you. Give me a yes in the chat if you're still with me. All right. I know this is a ton of information. Leaders are decisive. Sometimes we have trouble making decisions, and I'm going to tell you a couple of things that work for me, but I want to tell you something first. I was reading a Harvard Business Review study on this, actually, because I was very fascinated with high-performing CEOs and decision-making, and I just started digging into this because I thought it's really sometimes interesting to me how hard it is for people to make decisions. And I found that high-performing CEOs don't necessarily stand out for making great decisions all the time, but rather they stand out for being more decisive. They make decisions earlier, faster, and with greater conviction. They do so consistently, even amid ambiguity and incomplete information and in unfamiliar domains. So the highest performing CEOs in Fortune 200 companies stand out, right? That means their businesses are performing. in case you're wondering, like, what do they stand out about? That means they're making a ton of money, and so are the businesses that they're with, okay? Not because they always make the right decisions, but because they make them fast. They make them when they don't have all the information. They make them amid ambiguity. And guess what? That's life. That's business. A lot of you are moms on here right now. That's freaking motherhood in a nutshell. Like, what are we doing right now? I don't know. Like, one kid's screaming and one kid is like brought home the plague from the petri dish I send him to every day, which is called school. Like, I don't even know what day it is, but like, here's what we're going to do. Like, you know all about making decisions quickly. But here's a couple of tips on how to be a more decisive leader. Take fear out of the process. I know it sounds so easy, right? But when you can remove fear from the process, even your worst decision isn't going to ruin your life. Like, I promise, if you can take fear out of the process, it makes things so much more clear. Don't glamorize overthinking or overanalyzing. I love when people are like, I'm such an overthinker. Like, nobody is getting you a trophy for that. It's such a bad thing to be proud of. It's really just stop. All right. Clear your mind and space of distractions, your mental space. Like, a lot of people say, like, oh, I thrive when I have so many things going on. No, you don't. Not when you're trying to make a decision that's important to you. Those things are all pulling at your attention and demanding your time. And no wonder you can't make a decision. Give yourself a deadline. This is my jam. This is when, like, I started learning how to make quick decisions. I'm going to decide this in the next 20 minutes. Boom. Like, I am a faith-filled person, and I would pray and be like, okay, Lord, give me an answer in the next 20 minutes. Cause that's when that's like, it's like go time. And I would just decide the deadline thing works for me. Get feedback and talk it out. You need a trusted inner circle that you can go to and say, listen, I need feedback. Here's what I'm trying to decide. Do either of these options sound like better than the other? And then let go of perfection. There's no such thing as making the perfect decision in the majority of situations. And making a less than perfect decision beats not taking action at all. How many times have you just done nothing because you wanted to do the perfect thing and you didn't know what that was? That's not an executive mindset. And we're leaders here. We're executives here. We are executives of our business. And we want to be like those high-performing CEOs who are decisive even amidst ambiguity. Leaders have a heart for service. Leaders have a heart for service. I had to put this in here because I was so freaking happy when I met John Maxwell, and he is the real deal, you guys. A servant leader's focus is on serving others rather than serving themselves or being served by others. Please write that down. If you want to go far in anything you do, be a servant to others. I was at a conference, Live to Lead conference, and John Maxwell said, you're either adding value to people's life and you're lightening the load, or you are the load. Holy cow. I want you to think about that for a second. Are you lightening the load? Are you adding value to people? Or are you the load? As a leader, you can't afford to be the load. Did anybody else just get like oh, because when I heard that the first time, I was like, oh no, am I the load? Oh shoot, it's not a good feeling. All right, couple ways to be a plus in people's lives, because you're one or the other. You're either adding to their lives or you're taking away. You're either lightening the load or you are the load. Couple ways to lighten the load. Be intentional. Guys, it's not natural to put other people first. It's not. It's not natural to put the sowing before the reaping, but if you sow well, the reaping is automatic. Be intentional. Learn how to put other people first. Learn how to ask questions about people. Truly value people. Truly value people. You don't even have to know someone to value them. You don't have to even know people to value them. There's something valuable about everyone. Then lastly, think of ways that you can be of service. Think of ways you can be of service and practice it. Just one example, when I wake up in the morning, something I think every day, you can ask anybody on my team this, any of my sideline partners, I think, what is something that my team could be doing today that I can think of, that I can share in our chat, that could move their business forward right now, that they may not be thinking of? And I put it in our chat. What's important today? It's simple. I'm thinking about it anyway. I'm doing it for my business, so I share it with them. Think of ways that you can serve. Leaders have grit. Leaders have grit. A few key characteristics of grit: courage, conscientiousness, endurance, resilience, excellence. A little bit about each one of these. Courage is about a person's ability to manage the fear of failure. That's it. Are you able to set aside your fears and try something beyond your ability? That's part of grit. The courage to face new challenges. Do me a favor. While I'm talking through these, I want you to rate yourself. You don't have to put it in the chat, but I want you to rate yourself. 1 to 10, where's your current courage? Where's your courage? All right. Conscientiousness. Can you be relied on to do the job well? Where are you at? 1 to 10. Are you dependable? If I reach out to you and say, hey, let's work on a project together for the team, can I count on you? Can the team count on you? Endurance. Are you able to set your own long-term plans, work on it, and see it through to completion? This is a big one in our industry. This is a big one. Endurance. Where do you rate yourself on endurance? Resilience. It's another big one in our industry. When you do anything challenging, things never always go smoothly. Like, it's never going to be like, oh, I'm going to go on this hike up a mountain and 100% of things go right. That's just not realistic. There are going to be obstacles. Are you resilient enough to overcome those obstacles and endure the hike? How do you rate your resilience? And you better be honest with yourself while you're rating yourself, because nobody else is going to see it. You're only doing yourself a disservice if you're like, I'm a 10 on every one of these, and you're actually a 2. All right. Excellence, not perfection. Excellence. People with grit will always aim for excellence over perfection, because perfection is an absolute outcome, right? Someone's perception might not be attainable, but excellence is about doing your best. And for a gritty person, it's about putting forth your fullest effort into reaching the goal. All right. Do you put your fullest effort into reaching your goals? Are you doing your best? Where do you rate? And I want you to go back to this later, and I want you to look at it, and I want you to think about where you can improve, how you can improve each of these. If you haven't seen Angela Lee Duckworth's TED Talk on grit, it's amazing. But she says grit is about sustained, consistent effort toward a goal, even when we struggle, falter, or temporarily fail. So this is quote number 2. Quote number 2 from an expert on a topic in leadership about failure related to a topic. I just think that's interesting. I don't know if you guys think it's interesting, but I do. Leaders have emotional intelligence. I'm trying to go really quickly, but this is a lot of stuff. All right. This is a lot. I would like for everyone to take a picture, because I'm not going to read this to you. But But the thing about emotional intelligence is self-awareness, self-regulation. Those are things that are non-negotiable for leaders, because you have to stay in control and you have to understand how you affect the people around you as a leader. These are, they're just non-negotiable. It is so important when you're leading people, so important when you're growing a business, because communication and working with other people is not something that you can avoid in a business like ours, in any business. And the person with the highest level of awareness is responsible for the relationship. Every time. I heard that quote and I remember thinking, that's not true. No, it is every time. 95% of people think they're self-aware. I was reading this statistic. 95% of people think they're self-aware, but only 10 to 15% actually are. I just thought, oh no. Are you self-aware? Do you understand how you feel and how it can impact the people around you? Are you able to regulate your own emotions? Do you verbally attack others? Do you make emotional decisions? Do you compromise your values? Motivation. Are you self-motivated? Are you self-motivated? Or are you constantly going, I need a pep talk? Yeah, it's just been a hard day. But actually that happens every day. Listen, I know I get hard days, but are you able to regulate your emotions and actually pull yourself up by the bootstraps and know what it is that you have and be grateful and plug back in? That's really important. And it's a skill. It's a learned skill. This isn't about, I'm stronger than you. My personality is different than yours. This is something I've had to work on. And you're going to work on it. Empathy. Can you put yourself in someone else's situation? You're going to. Social skills. You got to be a good communicator and you got to learn to resolve conflicts. Research shows that every unaddressed conflict can waste 8 hours of productivity in gossip and other unproductive activities. 8 hours. So I want you to think of a conflict in your team that you're afraid to address. There goes 8 hours. Nobody's selling products. Nobody's recruiting. Nobody's posting about products. Nobody's prospecting. They're just gossiping because you are afraid of confrontation. It's unacceptable. You can't have that. You've got to be willing to manage conflicts. Leaders take ownership and accountability. What does that mean? Here's the difference in these. I would recommend listening to the TED Talk, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. He's so good talking about this. Ownership is understanding taking action is your responsibility, not someone else's. Accountability is taking responsibility for an outcome. So a big thing that happens in teams sometimes is somebody will say, hey, we should really start having a Zoom on, Mondays and talk about this. Okay. Go for it. We're all self-employed here. And if you have a good idea, run with it. Everybody can do things here to contribute to the team. And everyone can find answers in the same places. And sometimes it's a lack of confidence, but sometimes it is a little bit of thinking it's someone else's job to do those things. So bring your ideas forward, but understand that you have everything that you need to bring those into action and fruition. Ownership and initiative and accountability, I can't tell you how big of a deal it is as a leader to find those people on your team and to be that person. It's a huge leadership trait. It absolutely doesn't happen enough in any business, and particularly in ours. I think it is something that is so few and far between that people just look to people who will get things done and are like, wow, she's amazing. No, she isn't. She just When she thinks of something, she executes. It's that simple. How to instill ownership and accountability in your team. Paint a picture of success. So does your team know what a successful Zoom or team call looks like? Because if not, they might not be willing to start one. Focus on why. So as much as possible, let people know why what they're doing is important. So if you have someone running a Facebook group for customers or something like that, do they know why what they're doing is so important to the whole team? Avoid micromanaging. Gosh, man, this one's bad. Nobody wants to make decisions for themselves or on their own for fear of criticism if you're micromanaging. Listen to feedback and ideas. Like I said earlier, if your team can't give you feedback, don't expect to be able to give them feedback, and then set the example. Are you taking ownership and holding yourself accountable? Because if you're not taking like your ideas and implementing them, don't expect your team to do that. Then just nobody's doing anything. Okay, we're in the home stretch, almost done. Leaders are abundant. Leaders are abundant. This is so important, you guys. It's so important within Modere culture. And I feel so freaking strongly about this. Everybody sit up straight or stand up if you can. If you can stand up, stand up. If not, just sit up. I want you to stretch your arms out. Look and see what, okay. Arms up. Inhale. Exhale. All the way down. Shake it out. We've been listening to me on repeat for 38 minutes. It's monotonous. We're almost done. Thank you for your time. Take a sip. I wish I had something to drink here. Take a sip of your drink. Take a few seconds. All right. I'm doing this because this is important. Before I get into specifics of abundance, you have everything you need. I want you to hear me when I say that. You have everything you need in this life. It flows to you easily. Believe it, understand it, receive it. You have absolutely everything you need. There's more than enough for you. And you were born not with money, right? None of us were born and just like, oh, look, a wallet full of cash, like, right? But you know what you were born with was a gift inside of you that was put there for you to serve people. And if you're holding on to that, I want to encourage you to think about how special that is and think about unwrapping it. It's holiday season. We're unwrapping our gifts. I want you to think about unwrapping it. And I want you to think about who you can gift it to. Because it wasn't given to you to keep hidden out of fear or scarcity or lack, or what if this is all I have? It was given to you so that you could go out into the world and serve and bless other people with it. Okay? That's my belief. That's what I know has been true for me. And I want you to know that the more you do that, the more you go out and bless people, hundreds and thousands of people just being blessed with the gift that you were given and born with, not money. You weren't born with money. You were born with this gift. Only you got it, right? And you're blessing and you're blessing and you're blessing and you're serving and you're serving and you're serving. And all of a sudden, there's so much of that happening that it all starts coming back to you. Tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. You can't even keep up with the blessings that are returning to you. I want you to approach your business this way. I want you to approach your team this way. I want you to approach your sidelines this way. I want you to approach your customers this way. You have so much to give. And I don't want you to think for a second, not even 1 second, about what you're getting back. don't even think about for a second. You can't not get back what you're going to get, what's coming for you. You can't not get it back if you're sharing that gift. I just needed to speak that to you guys from my heart, because that is what I believe about abundance. But you've got to unwrap that gift and you've got to share it with people. Let's talk about behaviors of abundant leaders, more tactical than just belief and gifts and unwrapping and those things. Okay. Most people are deeply scripted in scarcity mentality. So they see life as having only so much, as though there's only one pie out there. Have you ever felt that way? I have. You feel like if someone else were to get a big piece of it, that means there's less for everybody else, right? The brain is geared twice as heavily toward avoiding loss as it is toward gaining reward. The brain is geared twice as heavily toward avoiding loss as it is toward gaining reward. I have worked so hard to change my mindset to flip that. And it has served me so well. This is where the abundant leader comes into their own. It's about taking your people along the tide of abundance with you, managing emotion and entrenched thought patterns to renew morale while demonstrating how to tackle obstacles nimbly and fearlessly. That's from MIT neuroscientist who studies brain agility. And I found this so fascinating. I got all down into this topic with this brain agility person because I was like, can people change scientifically? Can people change their neuro pathways around scarcity mindset? Because it's a real trigger for me when people are hardwired to fear and scarcity and lack. I find that I really don't like it. I struggle with this, people who are like into that. And I found it so fascinating that it's actually the calling of a good leader to lead people out of that. And that the majority of people are, because we're hardwired to fear loss twice as much as we are to gain reward, that it's something we can help people with. Like, doesn't that make you feel good? That's a part of sharing your gift, can be helping someone flip that in their mind. That's a huge blessing. Okay, so number one, something abundant leaders do is they give other people credit. Give other people credit. When someone works on something and they've done a good job, I don't think for a second anyone here would be like, oh gosh, wasn't that so good? I did amazing work, right? Like, I'm not going to come on here and be like, did you guys love Best Me 23? Yeah, I shared my best dieting and fitness tips. Like, no, like that was Jen and Nate. And also no one would believe me. Okay, always give others credit. Ask for input. Do you know how many people on your team are just like, they have brilliant ideas and thoughts and they just don't have the confidence to share them? I really need to do better about this, because I think everybody just has the confidence to give input and feedback anytime, because I give feedback and input anytime. But I really need to ask people for their input. Extend trust. Knowing that you trust someone is a huge motivator, and it's a huge conversation starter, and it is a huge show of abundance as a leader. Coach other people. I have always found it fascinating. I came from a company where it was very much, don't spend your time with anybody that you don't earn on. I don't know if you've ever been in an environment like that, but it was very frowned upon for anybody to work with anybody who's outside their team. And I absolutely love that I'm in an organization and now in a company where I don't care if you are in like whoever's team or whatever, like I will help you because it's just on my heart to serve people. And it has never steered me wrong. It has never been a mistake for me to help other people, ever. I mean, no one's ever abused it. No one's ever been like, okay, can we have this call every week? Like, I mean, people are wonderful. If you just don't, again, if you're abundant and not worried about, oh my gosh, this person might take advantage of me, calm down. Like, yes, you need to have boundaries, but also like be abundant first and then have boundaries second. Like, don't worry about things that haven't happened. Share ideas. Share ideas. Can I tell you, because this just happened, I've recently found out that, I was going to work on a project with some people, and I found out that there were like these people in an organization who had been doing something a certain way, and it was so smart. And I was like, well, gosh, like my thought was like, well, I share everything with them, but they didn't share this with me. And I kind of was, I took it as I was offended. I'm just going to say that I was a little like, oh my gosh, well, like, thanks a lot. Cause I'm sitting here sharing with you. And here's what immediately I thought. Number one, it wasn't like well, we're not going to share this with Sarah because we're being super secretive. I know that that's not what it was. But two, my defense mechanism, even after like all this, like, personal development, and as much as I want to be an abundant person, my first defense mechanism was like, well, I'm going to stop sharing everything with them because, if they don't think it's important to share it with me, like, isn't that funny how quickly you can like revert back? And I'm being super vulnerable with you guys because I'm not going to sit up here and be like, I do all of this 100% right all the time. Like, I'm a human being. So my first thought was like, well, I'm not going to share anything with them from now on, like, whatever. And I stopped myself and I was like, you know what? I can only control myself and I can't control other people. I know this wasn't meant in harm at all. And it makes me feel good to be abundant and share and serve other people. And I can't make anyone else feel good about that if they don't. And it actually makes me feel a little bit sad for people that don't, share things across teams, because I've found it to be one of the most incredibly uplifting things about this business and working with even this collaboration that we have. And so I just had to really go back to, I can only control myself. And this isn't about, I'm not doing it so that other people will do it. I'm doing it because I'm sharing my gift. Like I told you guys, it's about me unwrapping my gift. And so it's just funny because every once in a while I'll get tripped up in my own like BS. And you have to just remind yourself like, no, I'm not being abundant for that reason. I'm being abundant because that's who I want to be. And that's what makes me happy. And that's what fills my cup. Connecting people with other people who are good for them, they can serve each other in some way. Stephanie gets on here. She is a fantastic connector. Oh my goodness. Like, you can't talk to her for 10 minutes without her connecting you to someone to fix 99% of your life. Like, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Meet unspoken needs. If somebody has something that happens, like, let's say somebody's just having a tough week and they're like, oh, my kids are sick, whatever, send them a meal. Like, unspoken needs, like, nobody's going to ask you to do things like that, but it means so much when you just do little things. And then number 8, listen more. Just listen. People don't always want you to solve their problems, which I struggle with because I'm a solver. Like, okay, like, what are we going to do? Let's go. Sometimes people just want you to listen. And that's what you need to do. You need to be an abundant leader by just listening. All right. Oh my heavens, here goes my whole thing. Lastly, leaders are learners. Research on leadership development shows that leaders who are in learning mode develop stronger leadership skills than their peers. This is not an aha moment for me. Of course they do. Of course they do. They're learning how to lead and apply those skills. Here's what being a learner shows your team. Shows commitment, right? You're invested in being the best leader that you can be for them. It shows self-awareness. You know what you know and you know what you don't know. It shows that you're willing to set an example, right? It shows that you're willing to invest in yourself. It shows that you're putting excellence over ego. Are you more interested in your ego or in being an excellent leader for your team? And it shows that you understand the importance of staying relevant. Like if the last book one of my mentors has read was from, I don't even know. I mean, some of these old books are good. I shouldn't even say that, but people need to stay relevant. You guys get what I'm saying? Okay. If you're more concerned with earning than learning, you have it backwards. You can't separate the two. They're firmly attached. If you're more concerned with earning than learning, you have it backwards. They are attached. You cannot separate them. All right, that's it for me. I hope that you will take all of this information, which I know it was a ton, these 10 non-negotiable leadership mindset. I don't even remember what they were called now. Yes. Non-negotiables of leadership mindset. And I hope that you took notes. I hope that you will watch this again if it was helpful and just kind of evaluate each of these as you're going through the next week or so, waiting for the next speaker, which I think is Tony Zalecki, which is super exciting. As you're thinking about these, just think like, where am I at on this? Do I need to learn more about this? Do I need to apply myself here more? Am I a learner? Am I being abundant? Am I taking ownership? Am I holding myself accountable? Am I stuck in a fixed mindset and I need to, be in a growth mindset? But I hope this was helpful and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for spending time here with me today. And I will see you here every week as a participant.
Sarah, can I just pop in and give some information real quick?
Yep.
So we do have the Facebook group, which is where we are streaming because there are so many incredible, amazing teams taking part in this collective. And so we had to adjust some things. So it didn't stream live today, but we'll be posting the recap. We'll be posting the replay in there and just know that we will be streaming in there. Although I think we all know that the magic is being on the call live with everybody. There's energy to it. There is just something great about being able to chat with each other. We'll also be providing many of the different resources that Sarah talked about in this. So you want to be on the page. That way you can also share some of your aha moments in the comments. And we just want to hear from you guys. You're amazing. The link is in the chat right now. And I'm sure that all of your leaders will also be sharing that link with you. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was amazing. I have so many notes. I don't even know where to start.
Thank you. Thank you for being here with me. And thanks for hanging in there with me. This was so much longer than I thought it was going to be. And I was talking so fast. So thanks for your patience, guys.